Welcome to your spring tarot reading. In this reading, we'll explore the themes of spring ahead and uncover what you need to know about this season of renewal. Take a moment to connect and choose a card that resonates with you. This is a pick a card reading. Take all the time that you need. Below, you'll find timestamps, so if you wish, you can jump directly to your reading. You'll also find the decks that I use in the description. Or if you're not in a hurry, stay a little longer. There are deeper things I wish to share and beautiful nature scenery to enjoy. Welcome to the Fool's Journey channel. I'm so glad that you found me here in Finland, where the snow is retreating and the nature is slowly waking up from its slumber. I'm grateful you're here and deeply appreciate your presence. In our winter reading, we walk through the silent world of winter. Now the ice is breaking, the first green shoots appear, and the nature stirs with life. Here in the north, winter's grasp loosens its hold. The days grow longer, the ice cracks, buds swell on bare branches, and migratory birds return, their calls echoing through the air. Spring is an awakening, a season of renewal, fresh energy, and new beginnings. It is a time to plant seeds, both real and metaphorical, and to consider what we wish to nurture in the months ahead. Spring invites us to step forward with hope. It is a time of growth, of lengthening daylight and returning life. As the world thaws, so do we. This season brings movement, inspiration, and a gentle reminder. Life renews itself, and so can you. It's time to sweep away the remnants of winter, clear the windows for the returning light, and welcome the season ahead. Soon, everything is growing and bathing in light and warmth. Whether you're watching this at the very start of spring or later in the season, let this reading meet you where you are. There is no rush. Just as the flowers bloom in their own time, so too do your journeys unfold when they are meant to. This is a communal reading. If something doesn't resonate, trust that it is meant for another traveler on their path. Are you ready to begin the reading? If so, then let us start. Group 1, the Forest Maiden. Welcome, Group 1. You have chosen the Forest Maiden, a spirit of spontaneity, luck, and new beginnings. This is your reading. This is the Forest Maiden. She corresponds to Page of Pentacles or the Princess of Coins. She is symbol of coincidence, manifestations, and playful discovery. In folklore, forest spirits are generally good-natured and helpful, provided that they are respected. Do we have a time for a story? Yeah, we have a time for a story. There is a story about a forest dweller who was sleeping in a forest, and suddenly through his sleep he heard a voice saying, get up, we need to bury the old one." So first he didn't listen to that. He looked around and was mesmerized because there was nobody there. But then the command came again and said that, get up, we need to bury the old and tired one." So he did get up and he moved, and at the same moment a giant old pine tree crashed down to where he was sleeping. So that is a kind of magic that the forest maidens hold in Finnish mythology. How about another story before we go? Okay, so another story. A hunter was traveling through forest and stayed there for many days, and he slept under the stars. And during one of the nights, he was suddenly approached by a beautiful Forest Maiden. She approached him without saying a word and started to caress him, so he fell in love with her and they spent the night together. When the morning came, the Forest Maiden asked what kind of cattle would he like to have. By forest cattle they mean what kind of game we would like to have. And he said that, he would prefer to have deer. So the maiden blessed her, and the next day the hunter went to go hunt deer, and he caught 5 deer the next day. The following months and years he had exceptional luck on hunting the deer, and but the story also tells that he never caught bear because he didn't ask for bear from the Forest Maiden, so he never received that blessing, but he got a lot of deer, so he was very thankful for the visit and for the memory of their night spent together. The Forest Maiden is a creature of mystery and allure. She is wild, beautiful, and friendly. Legend tells of travelers who met her in waking visions only to watch her vanish with the first light of dawn, or to transform into moss, tree stumps, or stones. You have chosen this spirit as your significator, and its meaning is clear. This is a season of adventure, spontaneity, and new experiences. It encourages you to play, imagine, and embrace the unexpected. Just as the Forest Maiden lures wanderings into strange and beautiful realms, this card invites you to step into the unknown with wonder. But she also comes with a whisper of warning. Forest spirits are protectors, and they are known to alert the forest dwellers of dangers. If you feel a quiet discomfort, a gut feeling pulling you away from a situation, listen. These spirits are known to offer signs when danger is near. If something feels wrong, it's time to move. Seek a better path, a better relationship, a different door to open. So, what is calling you now? A new idea, a fresh beginning, a wild and playful journey? The Forest Maiden bids you to follow, but with keen awareness and open senses. Let's pick your rune next. So your rune is Isa, meaning eyes, and this is actually a really fitting rune. This rune is reminding you of those past situations and telling you that they are now over. The spring has arrived and everything is thawing now from the ice. So don't worry too much about this Isa. But do remember that sudden cold spells can still arrive during the spring. So don't put your winter equipment away yet in practical but also in spiritual sense. So your first card is the Clever Guide, or the Fox. This is a spirit of curiosity, playfulness, and good spirits. Foxes are very resourceful animals, and they are very clever. A lot of folk tales tell them of using clever tricks to win what they want. This is here to remind you of walking your path so that you are doing things smartly, not hardly. Foxes are also very sensual creatures. They are often seen like a spirit of beauty and charm. So especially connected to the charm of the Forest Maiden, this can speak of the kind of clever, playful charm that you might have or you might encounter in the coming months of spring. This is very playful and positive, and also very charming spirit to accompany you, and very fitting also to the Forest Maiden to have a fox spirit together with her. Then we have the next card, which is called Mystic Marsh. And this is a card of transition and preservation and femininity. Marshes are a combination of preserving and also of remembering. So they are places where all kinds of things are buried. Bogs and swamps are places of treasures, meaning that you can find lost treasures or gold or jewelry or all kinds of treasures hidden by the forest or bog spirits in there. So it's a twofold thing. Both you can find both terrifying things, but you can also find wonderful things. And in this sense, marsh is a good symbol for human unconsciousness as well, because you can find things that are frightening from your unconscious, but you can also find beautiful things, strengths and gifts from your unconscious. So this is a card that calls you to study and discover things from this unconsciousness. See which kind of unexpected things you can find from here and approach them without fear, with open mind, as the Forest Maiden is calling you to an adventure. So don't be afraid, even if you have heard stories about the monsters of the swamp. Mystical swamps are connected to femininity and water elements and emotions, so you don't have to be afraid of what you're searching for or what you're finding from there. But this is a calling that go and search your unconscious for the treasures to be found. Then we have the elemental foundation, or the bedrock. This card stands for stability and timelessness and also relics. So this is a bit like Ostara. It's symbolic meaning connecting you to your family and surroundings and your foundation. When you're building things, you want to be very sure that your foundation is secure, and this card speaks that currently it is, or it calls you to reflect that, but if you feel that it is, you'll know that it is. And if that's the case, then it's a calling for you to trust it. The meaningful things in your life are as they should be. This card calls us to stability. So if we have done adventuring with the Forest Maiden or tried new things, this one also calls us to center and ground ourselves, to be present. The bedrock also has its relics, meaning that you can find all kinds of veins of minerals and veins of precious metal going through them. So this card also calls you to keep your eyes open for sudden blessings. So this is a card of moss. So this is lush tranquility, and the key words of it is healing, tranquility, and sustainability. So moss was used to treat wounds. This card is like balm on your emotional wounds or spiritual wounds. So if you have gone through difficult periods or you have felt hurt, this card is soothing you. It's a bit like the forest in itself. If you're feeling very stressed, a trip to the forest is very calming and healing experience. So as said, this card speaks for healing and the tranquility and also sustainability. So if you're going on a project that is very challenging and you have to push yourself in order to achieve your goals, remember that you are only sustainable if you are keeping the pace so that you can actually carry on doing that. So if you're pushing yourself so hard that you are wearing yourself out, it's not sustainable. So please keep this in mind when you are reflecting your life. than this card. So normally I would have a card from Ukon Pakka besides the significator, but I felt that the Forest Maiden wanted to be surrounded by forests, so let's give her another card, forest card. So this is called Rooted Wisdom, and it is a card of pine, and its keywords are longevity, roots, and boundaries. So this is a good grounding card, together with the adventurous card of Fox and the Forest Maiden. It brings you to elements that upkeep your own well-being, whether they are healthy lifestyles and things that benefit your longevity. And then this card also speaks of boundaries. They are always important and a topic worth coming back again and again, because we often lose ourselves, our boundaries, in situations that are challenging. Pine is a very protective tree, and this, together with the protective energy of the Forest Maiden, also gives you a sign that you are being protected. What a wonderful grounding reading this has been so far. It has been calling you for adventure with the Forest Maiden and finding treasures from the marsh and running with the she-fox, but also at the same time it speaks of the bedrock and of the healing moss, and now with the steady pine. So these are energies of grounding and coming back to your center. So this is a very, very nice and very balanced, very healing and very fulfilling reading for your coming spring. Okay, let's pick two cards from the Kalevalainen tarot. Okay, so this is really interesting. The very first card that is turned is called Hettenhaltija, so that is the spirit of the spring. So if we are very exact with the translation of this card, this is more like a spirit of bog or boggy area rather than spirit of water spring. And why this distinction is important is because the spring is like flowing water, it's bubbling fresh water, whereas bog is rather stagnant and still and mysterious. So there is a distinction between the bodies of water, and that also reflects on the card. And why this is so very exciting is because you already had the swamp card and you had the Forest Maiden, which is like the speaking of the people, spiritual folk of the forest. So basically this card brings together these cards under it. So that's why it's so significant. So since this card connects to the watery element and to the waters of the swamp, it's also a slight warning, meaning that when you're traveling through swamp, there are places that can carry you, but then there are places where you can sink. So these spirits are known to be guardians of this kind of waters, and also to warn the travelers not to be pulled in there. So it does call you to keep your eyes open, but at the same time, when you're rising from the bogs, you are rising with the swamp's fragrant flowers in your arms, meaning that so the things that you need and you want, you already have them within you, so you don't have to search them from outside of you. All that you need is already with you. That's one of the lessons, and one of the very deep lessons of this card. All in all, this card calls you to live your life to the fullest, and together with the Maiden of the Forest, this is a very protective card, calling you to a safe path through the perils of your life and to the challenges of your life. So let's look at your last card of the Kalevala cards. Then I have one special card for you after that. Oh, so your final card is Pohjantähti, which is the Northern Star, which is lovely. It corresponds to the star in the major arcana of the tarot. Pohjantähti was said to be the central star where all the other stars revolved around. So it was a connection point to the upper world. But it also stands for inspiration and possibilities and opening your mind to the higher dimensions. So it has connections to be the key of wisdom, and also a symbol of creative visions. So a lot of very positive, mind-opening qualities in this card. So the Northern Star is a symbol of light and guidance and your inner vision. So this is a calling for you to follow your own inner guidance. And it's a star because it shines to you through darkness. So if you have been going through a winter of your soul, this card calls you to follow your true calling, because it is through that path you will find the wisdom that will guide you in your life. So you're fine. Trust the universe to carry you where you need to go. All right, so let's welcome your last card. So since it's spring, I thought I'll pick up a fairy card, so that not only are we strongly in the kind of northern themes with these two decks and rune, but we also have a little bit of spring magic in here by Amy Brown's fairy oracle decks. So let's see what kind of fairy wants to join our reading today. So you got card number 29. So this is the moon secret. So this is the mermaid under the full moon, which is lovely because it repeats the themes of water and repeats the themes of emotions and of that guiding, free, feminine spirit that we have encountered in different format as a forest maiden and as a beautiful fox guiding us, and now again as a mermaid. So mermaid are creatures of water, and water element connects us to our emotions and intuition. So this final fairy and final card speaks to you to trust your inner guidance and trust your emotions when you are walking forward on your path of life. Often we are very much directed by the intellect, and while there are certain benefits, of course, of that, that can lead to a situation where you are not connecting to your emotions. So sometimes that needs to be learned and that needs to be emphasized so that you are not overly intellect alone. So if lunar mysteries are important for you, I very strongly recommend you to watch the night tarot reading that I already have. I'll put a link here at this point, because in there are a lot of lunar connections and lunar flowers and night creatures that act as guides of the night. So you might like and benefit from that reading because it's very strongly connected to this lunar card. So as always, you can also take this card as practical advice to do things with water, meaning that go swimming or go diving or go do water sports, or if you can't do that or that's not your thing, then maybe a trip to the seashore or walking by a river might be something that you might enjoy or you might benefit from. All in all, very, very lovely reading, both grounding you through the bedrocks and the strong elements of the pines and to guide you to be wild and free, but at the same time listen to your intuition and trust your inner guiding light and inner guiding star. So go forth towards this spring with open heart and with a sense of trust of the guidance that you are going to have when you are walking through the path of your life. To me, it looks like a very interesting spring, and I wish you all the best of luck when you are walking through the path through the marshes and forest of your life. This concludes your reading group number 1. Thank you and have a wonderful spring. Group 2, the bear. Welcome, Group 2. You have chosen the bear, a symbol of strength, protection, and awakening power. Step forward with steady steps, for your journey follows the path of an ancient guardian. This is your reading. This is the bear. The bear is grounded in power, wisdom, and stability. In folklore, the bear is a revered being, both feared and honored, a force of nature embodying raw strength and deep wisdom. Among the peoples of the north, the bear was believed to possess a soul that walked between the world, its spirit connected to both the land and to the heavens. Some myths tell of the bear descending from the sky, their spirits bound to the constellation. Yet, the bear is also a creature of cycles. It retreats into hibernation, gathering strength in the deep stillness of winter, only to awaken with the new hunger, renewed power, and sharpened instincts. You have chosen this card during the spring, the season of emergence. This is no coincidence. The time of dormancy has passed. The time for action has come. What have you been gathering during the quiet months? What inner strength has been lying dormant, waiting for this moment to stir? The bear calls you to rise. This is a time for steady movement, confident decisions, and claiming what is yours. But the bear is more than just strength. It's also patience, wisdom, and protection. Let us walk together into the spring wilderness where the rivers run free and the earth awakens under steady, unshakable pause. It is time to reveal your next cards, and before that, pick your rune. Your rune is Urus, so this rune stands for primordial ox. As such, is a rune of strength and vitality. In this reading, it speaks of awakening strength and awakening with vitality for you. As such, welcome it and embrace it. You are connecting to the energies of the world that are supporting you and guiding you and giving you endurance, persistence, and vitality. Okay, let's turn your first card. And your first card is Sona. So this stands for Rituals of Purification. Its keywords are sanctity, tradition, and connection. Spring cleaning and spring purification rites and dusting off the old are very important themes in this reading, it seems. So the Sona card speaks of ritual purifications before important life events. So this life event can be for you the awakening of spring, but it can also be something more personal. Reflect this on your mind and have a think, what is the thing that this card suggests you to have a quiet moment of centering and purifications before you move onward. And naturally, if you have a chance to go to sauna, do so. It is highly relaxing experience and also very spiritual at the same time in a very mundane sense. You're getting cleaned. If you don't have a chance to go to a proper sauna, even having a dedicated shower or a bath or a visit to a spa would be a good moment in this period of your life. So let's turn your next card. Your next card is Sammakko, or the frog. And it speaks about miracle of transformation, and its keywords are adaptability, fluidity, and support. This flows lovely with the theme of purification and awakening to the spring. This is a very strong connection to the energy of awakening to the spring and becoming something else during this season of change and season of renewal. A frog is a symbol of metamorphosis, so if you're thinking what kind of currents are coming towards you this spring, this card speaks very strongly of transformations. So have a think of what kind of transformations you'd like to cultivate and what kind of energies do you want to emphasize so that your next form is according to your wish. Frogs are also very sensitive creatures. We know that they are prone to certain diseases and are very sensitive animals who only flourish when the water is clean and environment is unpolluted. So this speaks about support and connection and your surroundings. See that the surroundings where you are in are supporting you and nourishing you. Let's turn your next card. Oh, your next card is Yanis, the rabbit. And that warms my heart because rabbit is also one of the main symbols of the spring, even though in this card there is still a very early spring or even winter. But rabbit is a symbol of growth and renewal with the spring. So you're wonderfully blessed with this card and these symbols to have them in your reading. And doubly so because this is also a card of luck. So the keywords are luck, abundance, and fertility, meaning that the rabbit's claw is for a long time held onto as a magical talismans of luck. So let's welcome the luck in your life. Wonderful. So the themes of fertility and abundance are also connected to the rabbit. So especially if the topics of fertility are very important for you, this is a good omen. But fertility can also be other than bodily fertility. It can speak about spiritual fertility, emotional fertility, even a form of creativity where you are creating something new and bringing something to the world. It doesn't have to be a children, but it can be if that is something that resonates with you. And naturally, in the olden days, the fertility was tied to financial success, meaning that if the cattle was fertile or there was a lot of good game in the area or fertility was reflected in the livestock, it meant also that the household was wealthy. So this might also speak of that kind of currents flowing to your life during the spring. And especially with the element of luck in there as well, this is a very, very positive card to bring these wonderful renewing energies to your life this spring. So let's spread a few Kalevala tarot on your table and see what kind of wisdom they want to share. So this card is Väinämöinen, which is the main hero of the Kalevala epoch. So Väinämöinen in this deck represents the emperor. So he speaks about that fatherly governance in your life. But he's also an inventor and a trailblazer and leader and the elderly of the village. So there's all kinds of archetypical connections that you can draw from this card. Have a think of what would resonate with you the most. So when it comes to the interpretation of this card, Väinämöinen is here to remind you of your own inner wisdom and your own inner strength. With your own wisdom and your own knowledge, you can overcome any challenge that is put into your path, that has come forth in your life. It reminds you that you have leadership qualities in your life and you have good sense of judgment when you put your mind to work. So trust your inner wisdom. You can do it. That's the main message of this card. So let's turn your next card. So the other card that you got is Tonttu. So Tonttu is basically an elf. That's the literal translation of it. But the word Tonttu actually derives from the word Tontti, meaning a place of dwelling. So Tonttu was basically a spirit tied to the dwelling places. Normally Tonttu were considered to be good spirits who would benefit the household and take care of small chores and tasks for the household and take care of the animals and their well-being. So what's the meaning of this card then? So the meaning of the card is that this card speaks of certain kind of mastery and certain kind of responsibility that you have towards your own household, your own home and your own possessions. You need to take care of them, and in that way they can flourish and give you the blessings that you wish from them. And as a reward for your hard work in your home, the Tonttu is actually blessing you with the wonderful, loving, clean, enjoyable home where there is good to come in there, and it's good to recover in this sacred home and in this comfortable home. So let's pull a few more cards from the Kalevala tarot and see what they want to tell us. So the first card is Päivälän pidot, which is judgment in the major arcana. And this speaks about the wedding feast of Ilmarinen and the Maiden of the North. And what is interesting is that the Maiden of the North is actually the next card. So the first card is the wedding feast of the second card. And the second card stands for temperance in the major arcana. But let's start with the card of the wedding feast, the card of Päivälän pidot. So in order to understand this card, I need to tell you a little story about the wedding feast of the far north. Because the wedding is between the Maiden of the North and the great smith Ilmarinen, but this card is actually not about neither one of them. This card is about Lemminkäinen. So Lemminkäinen is kind of anti-hero of the story. He was known to be bad-tempered and a raucous troublemaker who, wherever he went, he caused trouble and strife. He never took any responsibility of his actions, and many people got killed because of that. So he was not invited to the wedding because of this, but he went anyways. So the card of Päivälän pidot speaks about your responsibility in challenging situations. It speaks about your own the outcomes of your own actions. It speaks about those. And it comes as a bit of a warning, like the judgment card can sometimes be a reminder that you are responsible for your own actions. So the actions of Lemminkäinen ended up causing a war between the people of the north and the people of the south. When it comes to this card speaks of your responsibilities, and especially your responsibilities when there is a situation of strife, because you can't have strife on your own. There's always two sides of it. And just as the judgment card, this card reminds you of the responsibility of your actions. Occasionally there are situations where people act very recklessly and don't take other people into consideration. Don't be that jerk. That's never a good idea. So this card calls for the judgment and the reasoning that Lemminkäinen was missing. So this card kind of ties to the card of Väinämöinen, who has inner wisdom. So these are like the two sides of the coin, responsibility and inner wisdom. So the Maiden of the North was known for her beauty. She was dressed in white, clean clothes, and her task was to spin golden and silvery threads into cloth. So the hero of the story, the Väinämöinen that we met on your other card, drove past her in his sled and asked if she would like to join him as his wife. But Väinämöinen was very old, and she wasn't particularly impressed by Väinämöisen's courting, so she gave him a series of tasks like peeling a tree bark out of a rock and splitting a horse hair in two, and even to tie an egg into a knot. These were not, of course, tasks that she believed he could carry out, but he actually did. In the end, the Maiden of the North was not wed to Väinämöinen, but while carrying out these heroic deeds, he actually grew in his own magical powers. So it ended up benefiting Väinämöinen even if she never intended to marry him. So what's the meaning of this card? The meaning of this card is to know your own worth. You don't have to go to the first offer that is given to you. You have your own set of skills, you have your own set of gifts, you are valuable as you are, and this card calls you to reflect that. So now it is time for your final card, and we are coming from the stories of the Kalevala and from the Nordic feelings back to the more universal energies. And I wondered if this fairy deck wanted to have a fairy for us, but I felt that they wanted, so we'll end this reading with a fairy card for you, because spring is time for fairies. Of course, all the other seasons are time for fairies as well, but spring is a very classical period where fairies are active. So let's see what kind of fairy wants to join us this time. Oh, how fitting. You got the fairy of Dandelion, which is very much tied to the energies of the spring and energies of the awakening. The time when dandelions are flowering beautifully is right at the end of the spring, when we are turning to summer, when the schools are ending and the summer holidays are starting. That's their time. So dandelion in general is a symbol of resilience and wishes and adaptability. But I would also see this card to be a symbol of joy and light-hearted energy. So just like the seeds of the dandelion are carried by the wind, it is time for you to release and trust the unseen forces at times. They are guiding your journey like the wind is guiding the seeds of the dandelion. So dandelions are very strong, they are very stubborn, and they are very persevering. So these kind of qualities are present there, but they are also light-hearted and beautiful yellow flowers touched by the grace of the sun. And sun connects them to vitality and life energy and daylight and fun. Let go a little, make a wish. Trust that what's meant for you will find its way. This concludes our reading, group number 2. Have a wonderful spring. Group 3. The Birth of Iron. Welcome, Group 3. You have chosen the Birth of Iron, a card of bold creation, strength of will, and the forging of destiny. This is the Two of Wands, a moment where something new is taking shape, something that requires both courage and precision. Iron is not born whole. It must be pulled from the earth, melted in the heart of the forge, hammered into form. The birth of iron is a process of transformation where raw potential is shaped through fire and force. You are standing at the threshold now. The spark has been struck. What will you create? This card speaks of planning, choice, and action. Something in your life is beginning, but it will not shape itself. You are the smith, the one who must decide how to wield the hammer. The fire is hot, the metal is malleable, but what will you forge? The birth of iron reminds you that what you create now must be built to last. Will you take time to shape it well, or will you rush only to find it brittle when tested? What stands before you now? A new path, a great decision, an ambition waiting to take form? This is your moment to seize it. The iron is in the fire, and it is time to shape your future with steady hands and clear mind. It is time to see what this forging process holds for you. Let's pick your rune first. So your rune is Othala. Othala is a rune of heritage, home and legacy. It speaks about ancestry and home and belonging, and it speaks about creating lasting value. Beyond the material things, Othala points to lessons and beliefs and traditions that help to shape your path. Preserve what is worth preserving in your work, but release that which no longer serves you or others. All right, so let's turn your first card. Your first card is the pike. This card stands for being the guardian of the waters. Its keywords are power, wisdom, and connection. But I feel that this particular pike in this particular reading connects us to the story of the pike of Tuonela, the pike of the underworld. So the story goes that the great smith Ilmarinen created a golden eagle in his magical forge, and this golden eagle fetched him the pike of Tuonela, Tuonela being the land of the dead. So this was a heroic deed, one of the many heroic deeds that Ilmarinen was able to do as a mastersmith. The pike of Tuonela was said to dwell in the black waters that separated the living world from the underworld. So it served as a guardian and a test for those who seek the passage beyond. So this card is another reminder for you to remind you that you are standing in a moment where your skills are tested. So through struggle, you can create something wonderful and unique. This pike speaks of challenge and initiation, so it urges you to face the unknown with strength, determination, and a fearless heart. Let us turn your next card. So your next card takes us to the Finnish forest, because this is a card of lynx, or ilves as it's known in Finnish. The lynx is the revealer of secrets, and its keywords are stealth, intuition, and mystery. The lynx is the only big cat that lives in the boreal forest of Finland, so it has always had a deep special meaning for Finns. The lynx is known for its elusive nature. It is rarely seen and it is always aware. In folklore, it is a creature of secrets and hidden knowledge, capable of seeing what the others cannot. So it symbolizes intuition, awareness, and the ability to uncover hidden truths. Some Finnish myths and beliefs connect the lynx to the spirit world. It is believed to have a special connection to the unseen, making it a symbol of those who walk between the worlds, the shamans, the seers, and those with deep intuition. In a reading, a lynx tells you to trust your instincts. Your intuition is sharper than you realize. Move silently. Not everything needs to be shared. Some plans are best kept to yourself. Lynx also encourages you to look deeper there is something hidden beneath the surface that you are meant to uncover. All right, let's turn your next card. Your next card is Kalevala, the spirit of forest and wild growth. Kalevala is a Finnish forest goddess, deeply tied to the wild, untamed nature and the creatures of the woods. Kalevala is the daughter of Tapio and the ruler of forests, and Mielikki, the goddess of healing and wildlife. Unlike her parents, who governed the forest with wisdom and order, Kalevala is free-spirited, playful, and deeply connected to wilderness. Kalevala has symbolic meanings. She is the guardian of the wild and keeper of the balance, and she speaks for compassion and stewardship. Playfulness, freedom, and youthful energy are connected to her. She's very much the Forest Maiden, so if you want and feel called to, you can also watch the first reading about the Forest Maiden. She speaks of personal growth and the call of the wild. Kalevala calls you to listen to the call of the wild, whether it's a literal journey into the nature or a symbolic call to break free of something that has confined you. Kalerva's presence in a reading calls for openness, joy, and harmony with nature. She invites you to step outside, listen to the whispers of the trees, and embrace the wisdom found in the wild spaces of the world. Next, let's lay out the Kalevala tarot cards. Oh, interesting. Your first card from the Kalevala tarot deck is Suden Morsian, so that's the bride of the wolf. This card very much speaks of the archetype of the wild woman, and it's heavily connected to the wilderness of the Kalevala in the previous card. This card stands for Seven of Wands, and it's a reference to a story by writer Aino Kallas, and it's a werewolf story, but it's a story where a woman hears a call of a forest spirit to come and join him in a forest to turn into a wolf, and eventually she does, even though she's very kind-hearted. And in the story, she explains how she feels that her true partners are the wolves at the swamps and forests rather than the people of the village. It's very much a story about letting go and following your inner calling. And it's a very much story about the call of the wild. So we are returning again back to the themes of what is your true calling. Already in this reading we can see that you are a smith amidst of creating something meaningful. But this is an advice from the cards for you to ask, what is the calling that you're following? Who are you really? If you don't think about the expectations of the society, if you don't think about the opinions of others, who are you really? This is a card about that. Be unapologetically you. Be brave and be free. Oh wow, you are really in the midst of creation, because your next card is the Ace of Wands, and this card in this deck stands for the birth of fire. So this card connects to the creation of ideas. It speaks about the inspiration and new beginnings and lighting the inner fire, following the intuitive instincts, and it speaks about the Kundalini energy, the fiery energy within you, and finding the hidden strengths in you that you might not fully be aware. The birth story of a fire in Finnish Kalevala is quite long, and I won't go into that yet. But if you feel called to, feel free to read it. It's very complicated, and it speaks about the story of the fire, how it was born in the heavens and in amidst of the Ukon, the great sky god, and how it fell from the sky to earth, and what kind of twists and turns there was in the story before it finally became the fire that we know. But in a reading, this card speaks of the moments where new ideas and new inner callings are being created. It speaks about the moment of spark that starts the fire. It might not be an explosion, but rather than when you are starting a fire in a fireplace, it slowly begins to light the things around it, so eventually it will grow into a roaring fire. But this speaks about not that moment yet, it speaks about the spark. So there is a new kind of light in you, and it brings light into the darkness. Try new things and be inspired. Your inner fire has been lit. Let's pull a few more cards from the Kalevala deck to tell us more about this inner fire. Oh wow! A fire card. And another fire card. Wow, this is really a moment of creation, and this is really a moment of fire energy. Okay, so let's take a closer look of these cards. So the first card is called Tuliemo, and this card stands for the Queen of Wands. And its literal translation means the mother of fire. Or emo is actually a different word than the word used for mother. So emo can also be an ancestral mother or a spiritual mother, a place of origin. This card actually brings a little bit of warmth to your reading, because some of the keywords for this card are self-knowledge and warmth and happiness and well-being, being naturally you, being kind towards you. It speaks about love and care and sensitivity, and it speaks about the practical approach to life. So yes, we've had the forge fire in this reading. We've had the lighting of the divine fire in this reading. But now as it's growing to be that warm fire where you can warm your hands with, and that you can cook with, and that can dry you up when you're wet. It's that kind of fire. But coming back to the idea of you being the smith in your life and using the fire to forge the things that you want to forge in your life, this card brings elements of love into this mix. The cards of Tellervo and the Sudenmorsian, the wolf's bride, they spoke about following your own path, and that led to the creative spark. But in order to truly create something, you need to put the love to your work. not just your physical work. You need to put your idea and your care and your nurturing to the project that you want to carry on. And if this card is speaking about relationships to you, it means that you don't only need that strong spark at the beginning, that flirt or that sexual fire, in order to create something lasting. The fire needs to be warm. It needs to be gentle and loving and in service of the thing that you are creating. I hope this makes sense to you. Now we got also another card to explain about the spirit of the fire that we created in the birth of fire. And it is interesting because the next card is called Hiiden Hevonen. So that is the horse of Hiisi. Hiisi being a sacred place. But you could also translate this as a fiery horse, because that's the spirit of it, at least in this reading, I feel that would be an appropriate translation for that. This card stands for the Knight of Wands. So it stands for dynamic progress and movement and growth and expansion and energy and instincts and going over obstacles, and it also speaks about success. This is a card of freedom and quickness and fierce times, fierce energy in your life. So it's a very strong and wonderful card for you to have in this reading, because the other card speaks of the nurturing fire, of the kind and gentle guidance and warmth of the fire. And this card speaks about the ambition and the drive to do things. And if we're thinking about smithing, and if we're thinking about any creative project or work project or any other project that you want to develop in your life, you kind of need both. You kind of need gentle caring and nurturing, but you also need the ambition and drive in order to overcome obstacles that you will eventually have during your path. So when it comes to Kalevala, the card refers to a story in the Kalevala where it was a heroic task to tame the horse of Hiisi. It was a fiery horse. It was brown in color and its mane was made out of living fire, real fire. So just like the taming of the magical fiery horse, this card speaks about of the bravery and daring and taking risks, but also controlling the situation. The horse was extremely dangerous and it was a big risk, but the hero was able to call forth a taming icy rain in order to put stirrups to the horse and make it his. This is a card of a trailblazer. It speaks about a person who is full of energy and vigor and creativity, and who's daring and full of creative power. So wow, this has been very powerful reading. It has been coming together wonderfully, and in itself it's already complete. But since this is springtime and I promised one extra card for everybody, I promised a spring fairy for everybody, because this is a spring reading. Let's see which fairy wants to join us to finish up this reading. So, a green fairy graces us with her presence. Green fairy is a call for us to reconnect to the nature. So in that sense, it connects to the card of Tellervo and perhaps also to the wolf's pride, being a wild, untamed female spirit. Green is a color of growth and spring, so it speaks about transformation and embracing transitions. So, all in all, really powerful reading. Lots of mystical energies, mythical energies, lots of fiery energy, passionate energy, and a lot of remindings to connect to the wilderness. I wish you powerful spring with lots and lots of creative energy and with good success and strong but gentle fire to serve you during this time. This concludes our reading, group number 3. Thank you, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the cards and the shifting light of spring. If you enjoyed this reading, you might also find meaning in the Witch's Garden Pick a Card, where we planted seeds of intention among magical herbs. That reading is still there for those drawn to the whispers of herbal lore and the magic of planting with purpose. Stay tuned for more stories, readings, and paths to explore. Until then, trust your inner wisdom and enjoy the world in bloom, the rushing winds, the bird song, and the first green shoots thriving in the warmth of spring.